And we're joined in studio this hour by Todd Eccles from Patriot Defense. We're talking firearms today, and he's going to be talking a lot today about various courses that he's offering because uh, things are filling. Well, the weather's good. Things are really filling up. And there was a figure that was released earlier this week. May firearms sales. We thought things would calm down after Election Day.
Right, right.
If we continue at the current pace, we will have the second greatest number of firearm sales in history. Second greatest in history for a year. That is
Nice.
may set all sorts of records.
Wow, that's people are still interested. People are still buying stuff. That's a good thing. That's I hadn't seen those. I hadn't seen those numbers yet, but that's fantastic. And if you're going to go out and you're going to buy a firearm, you should probably take some kind of self defense class, some kind of permit class, some kind of how do I use my firearm class, how do I draw my firearm, a safety class in the very least. Very very important things to do. I've got a few of them coming up here. Actually, I've got one this Saturday, which would be well tomorrow. June 10th. I've got plenty of openings left in that one. If anyone's interested in that, you can get a hold of me. You can call me, text me, area code 620-794-6223. That's area code 620-794-6223. And if you can't make that one, I know it's a little short notice. I'm having another one on June 17th, so that'd be the next Saturday. And I still have a few spots available in there. You can get a hold of me the same way. And those, once again, are for the enhanced concealed carry permits. And then I'm going to mention this one, and it is full, but I'm planning on getting another one up and running soon. But I talked about one last week on July 15th. It's what I labeled my Handguns 101 class. And it's going to be like the next step class. We're going to work on basic shooting fundamentals again, but we're also going to learn how to draw your firearm, how to possibly reload your firearm, how to stuff like that. Next step type stuff. It's more shooting. It's going to be all on the range. There's going to be no classroom portion at all. It's a 4-hour class. That class is full, okay, and that class filled up quickly, and I'm very impressed by how quickly that class filled up because for the past few years I've been putting together all these other classes just like this, and I could not generate very much interest in them at all. And this year, it seems like since constitutional carry had into effect last year, that more people are getting their permits and they're wanting to educate themselves further on the matter of carrying a firearm, and they want to become skilled. They're looking for those skills. That class filled up in a day. So I'm working with the gentleman who's helping put that on, and I hopefully will have another one just like that coming up soon. I need to get it announced. But on July 14th, I am going to have a class. That's a Friday. It's gonna be a Friday evening. It's gonna be a 2-hour class, and it's I'm gonna start what I call my series of micro classes. What I've noticed in the past is people don't want to, even when they take the permit class. You tell someone they need to spend 8 hours in a class on a Saturday, their day off. It's nice weather. Who really wants to do that? Granted, you're firing guns and you're doing some stuff you might be interested in, but 8 hours is a long time to dedicate to a class. 4 hours is a long time to dedicate to a class. So what I'm going to start, and I want to see how well they take off, is what I call micro classes, and it's going to be a 2-hour long class. It's I'm gonna limit it to 6 people, so everyone gets nice individual attention. Everyone really learns something. It's really hands on. And each class is going to be dedicated to a certain discipline of carrying a firearm. This first one is going to be the draw stroke, how to draw your firearm. And someone might think, 2 hours is a long time for that, but you need to learn how to draw that firearm safely. And there's different steps and different ways you can do that. So my idea is I'm going to have probably going to have 20, 30 minutes in the classroom. We're going to be talking about some stuff, demonstrating some stuff, and then the rest of it will be out on the range. So if you're interested in that, that's July 14th. Class is going to start at 6 p.m. We'll be done by 8 o'clock. It's a Friday evening. Shorter classes. I can do them on the weekdays now in the evenings. If you're interested in that, like I said, it's going to be $50 a person is what it's going to be. You can give me a call or you can text me. Area code 620-794-6223. I'd love to get that filled up. Once again, there's only 6 spots. The other class that I offered that was 6 spots. I'm not kidding. By the time I left here after the radio show got done at 10 o'clock, I already had 5 people signed up. And later on that afternoon, I filled it real easy in a couple more hours. So let me know right away. real busy with classes because I've got my own range now, so I'm able to schedule on my own schedule. I don't have to check with 5, 6 other people to reserve ranges. So it's fantastic. I'm hoping that as the summer progresses, even into fall, I'm able to open up for a lot more classes. And I'll just throw out there too that I probably, if you're a member of the Buell Rotary, I'm actually going over there to talk to them on June 15th at their meeting on Thursday. So if you're a member of the Buell Rotary, I'll see you over there. I'll be talking on concealed carry and handguns and what it's all about. So I look forward to that.
When we talk a little bit about training, and these questions come up a lot, but police officers, they train every year. I mean, they have to qualify again. It's
Right.
you don't qualify just once and then have a 20-year career.
Right.
You've got to continually go back to the range. Military does that as well. You don't qualify at basic training and then not have to worry about it again. These are things that you're constantly working on. We had a question after last week's show. We posted it as a YouTube video, and a fellow said, "So you're telling me," and I thought we'd answered it, but he says, "You're telling me I should, for legal reasons, I should still be taking courses even though I don't have to with constitutional carry." And there's a very good reason to do that, and that's because you still have to deal, even what the law may say, you can defend yourself, but you also have to sometimes deal with something called a jury, and you don't know how a jury is going to respond.
Right, and obviously even just a base, just not basic, but like even the enhanced permit class, okay, even though you don't have to have that if you're a resident of Idaho now, is a good thing to do because you learn the laws and what you want to do. If you ever have to use your firearm self defense, that class would be wonderful for you. And any other classes, any other type of training classes would be wonderful for you. Anything that shows that you cared enough, that you were responsible enough to go the extra mile and learn how to use that gun, learn how to use that gun safely, properly, so you don't harm anyone else. That shows that you are responsible. It's going to look good for you in court. It's going to show that any class that you take, they're going to tell you avoid the situation if at all possible. Granted, you have your firearm, and it's there to protect you if you have to, but it should always be a tool of last resort. And a good class, especially a good permit class in the very least, is going to tell you if you can avoid using it and you can get yourself away out of that situation, that's what you want to do. Now, if you're backed into a corner, if it's your house, if it's 2 o'clock in the morning, obviously you do what you have to do. But you need to know this stuff. You need to become educated. You need to show that you were responsible enough to get that further education that you need when you're going to carry a firearm amongst the public. It's going to look better for you and bode well for you if you ever have to use it in self defense.
We should point out too as well. I had said in response to this fellow that I think that definitely for a civil action, a civil case, because you have criminal courts and civil courts,
Hmm.
uh, but really even in criminal court, because if you come across as being reckless, even
Hmm.
to the people investigating it, if they come out to your house and they think that you were reckless in your behavior, you could still be charged, even though somebody may have knocked your door down. Uh, so they don't want to. So it's important to say, look, I have all this training, but I think especially in civil court, where if someone breaks into your house and they're threatening you and you kill them, but then they'll have a wife who says, "Well, we've lost our income because my husband can't break into houses any longer," and she goes down to court and she says, "I've got 12 mouths to feed in civil court." And she cries, and you might just have people out there say, "Gosh, it's a shame that
Right.
she's lost her provider," and you could end up paying hundreds of thousands of dollars out in a lawsuit. So the reason you have this training is because, again, your lawyer in a civil action especially can say, "This person knows what they're doing, and they did exactly what they're supposed to do."
Right. And this is in it's important enough that I went a couple years ago. I went. If anyone that is really into shooting and kind of knows the bigger names in shooting, I went and took a Mag 40 class that's put on by a gentleman by the name of Masad Ayub, and great class. I look forward to even trying to locate and taking one of his Mag 80 classes. But anyhow, it was a week long class, and that a good portion of that class was dedicated to classroom. There was some shooting involved as well, but it dedicated to classroom, learning the laws, studying cases where self defense had been used, and how they went. And this guy's like an expert. He used to be a law enforcement officer. He's an expert witness. He gets hired on to go do all this stuff. And his deal is, when time I got done, I had this huge stack full of paperwork and books and notes, and he the way he set it all up is he's save all that. That is proof of your training because you will need that. And this is a guy that does this for a living now. He trains, but he also goes and he testifies in all these different self defense cases. He and that was his suggestion. That was his advice. Keep every bit of training paperwork that you have so you can give it to your lawyer. You can take it to court and say, "Man, I was trained in this. This is what I did. This is what I learned to do. I just didn't go off half-cocked. This wasn't just a wild, crazy idea that I had in my head. This is what I learned. This is what I was taught by the experts."
We have a caller with us. Caller, you're up next. You're on the air on KLIX. Go ahead.
Well, I think that your response to the guy, I mean, you can study anything you want, but I think in the class we took, the one that spurred up the most conversation was one, you cannot shoot someone to defend your property.
Right.
Two was, should you say something to the cops or possibly spend a night in jail before thinking about what you're going to say or getting counsel? Those two things in our class spurred up the most conversation amongst the women because they thought they could defend their property with a firearm.
Yeah, and it's all about people come to the class thinking they know the laws. "Oh, I don't need this class, but I'm going to take it because I want to travel with my firearm out of state." And then they go through that portion. We do the classroom portion. They learn the laws and they look at me and they're just like, "Man, I didn't know half that stuff. That was totally opposite of what I thought or what I read on the internet." And it is. You can't in Idaho. You cannot protect your property. Some people think that you can. And when when you do have to use your firearm, you'll ask someone, "Why did you shoot this person?" "Well, I shot him to kill him." No, no, no. You shot to stop the threat. You didn't shoot to kill. You don't ever tell anyone that you shot to kill. And people don't understand that. Just the little things like that. But this is stuff you learn when you educate yourself and when you get educated on the laws. And you're learning this from a certified Idaho law enforcement officer. He's not going to lie to you. He's going to tell you everything. And it's really interesting because I use two different officers, or actually, I've used about three different officers now. And one of them will say, "Well, you're going to just talk to them when they show up anyway. That's just human nature," and he's pretty right. And another guy that says, that's your choice. That's up to you. And then there's another guy that says, "Don't talk to the police." I'm like, "You are the police. Don't talk to the police. I know about us. I am police." So you don't know about that stuff. If you don't take the class and you don't get educated, then you may slip up, you may do something you're not supposed to, and you're going to be totally unaware of it.
And the other part of that, I think in any situation you have, the reason that you have that right to remain silent is because you should at least talk to a lawyer first before you say anything that
Well,
might be stupid.
right, and you should actually have a lawyer set up beforehand. I had I had this isn't a knock on attorneys, but the first guy I started using, he's actually in the FBI now. But the first guy I started using, he was kind of funny. He always said, get your lawyer, get your attorney all figured out now. Figure out who that's going to be, and talk to him ahead of time. Say, if I ever have to use my firearm in self defense, what should I say? What do you want me to say? And then how do I get a hold of you? He's like, because if you don't do that, it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you try to find an attorney then, he's like, I'll quit drinking at midnight. How do you think that's going to go? So anyhow, that's what he used to say. But he's, have a plan and get it in place and get it in place now.
We have a short break. More with thank you for the call and more telephone calls too if you're inclined. Coming up on 920. Todd Eccles from Patriot Defense in studio with us. In fact, he'll share his contact information in a few minutes. We're at 57. Bill Colley as well on News Radio 1310. KLIX and NewsRadio1310.com. Our studio guest, Todd Eccles from Patriot Defense, joins us on Friday mornings on Top Story. Bill Colley with you as well. And we're talking firearms training today as well. And we should point out you can reach us at 736-0300, 736-0300. And then you can always reach out to talk to Todd, too, if you'd like to take one of these courses, upcoming courses. It'll be a busy summer, but there are lots of options he's creating now for people so that you can actually and I went in, I think it was middle of last week, to actually talk to the folks at the Sheriff's Department, fill out my paperwork,
Yeah.
do all of that. And so I should know in about 6 weeks here.
It'll be a lot shorter than that, but
we should know soon. So,
yeah, you should know soon.
I did the ancestry test a couple of weeks back too, and that takes 6 to 8 weeks, where you spit in a little tube.
Yeah.
and then you put they used to do a swab, but now you just spit in a tube and you put a cap on it, and then you drop it in a box and drop it in the mail.
Right.
But it only goes to Provo. So like the next day, I got an email saying we've received it.
We received your tube of spit.
Yes, and so in 6 or 8 weeks, they'll be able to tell me, where all my ancestors came from just by looking at that.
Well, that's pretty cool technology, man. It's
Yeah.
crazy stuff.
I could have driven down to Provo though and just had them drawn some blood and done the same thing and had it within a day.
You paid for a stamp versus
Yes.
versus gas.
For reaching Todd Eccles at Patriot Defense, there's a number of ways people can do it.
Yeah, you can call me. You can text me. Area code 620-794-6223. That is area code 620-794-6223. You can find me on Facebook under Patriot Defense. If you find my page, like the page. It'll keep you just apprised of all the upcoming classes or anything I feel like posting on there. But mostly my new classes. I've got so many classes coming up, and I am going to go home and actually plan some more out. I need to sit down with my wife though and say, okay, well, we don't have anything, family planned that day or something going on there. But I mean, usually, you can verify this. I come in with my business card with like a date written on there. I came in with a whole sheet of paper
Yes.
full of classes and notes and everything else because I was thinking this morning as I was putting my work boots on, I was like, man, I'm gonna have to come up with a calendar because I'm starting to lose track of everything in my head here. I can't. One class is easy, two classes is easy. I start getting 4 or 5, and it starts getting out of control.
We should point out that we've been talking a lot about legal aspects and reasons people do this and to be able to carry across a state line. But people tend to, just the whole notion of practicing can be fun.
Oh yeah, definitely. Just you go out and you. I'd like to see someone take a class. Don't get me wrong, but if you just want to go out and practice shooting, go for it. I mean, you can take your significant other, you can take your buddies, your friends. Obviously, do it safe. Safety is always number one. Is key. Have a good backstop and all that good stuff. But you can go and have a good time. You can take your kids. You can introduce your kids to shooting. Now, I don't recommend handing them some huge handgun to shoot. Some people think that's funny. I've seen, there's plenty of videos on YouTube where people think that's just a riot to do. It's not. You're going to scar that kid. He's not going to want to pick up another gun ever. Start him off small with a 22, but you can take your kids out, your wife out, your friends out. You can just have a good time. Go out there and shoot bullseye targets. Go shoot pop cans. There's different reactive targets that you can go and you can buy. There's steel targets. If you've never shot at clanking steel and you hear that pating, pating as you pull the trigger, that's pretty cool, and it's pretty addictive, addicting to shoot at. They've even got targets now that actually have ships on them, like the game Battleship, and you can actually play Battleship with a buddy while you're shooting at these targets. It's awesome. You can sink your buddy's battleship, man, with a 22 or a 9mm or whatever it is you're shooting.
I've often thought, on a weekend I could just drive out, I don't know, Hawaii County or somewhere
Mm-hmm.
and just start, blinking out there. The question that I would raise, what if it's BLM land, or what if it's a forest, a national forest? Are there restrictions people should be aware of?
You don't want to go out. Obviously, you can go out and you can go shooting those places, but you want to make sure you have a good backstop. And typically, when I say backstop, I'm talking like rising the land. Rises up, so you have a nice dirt backstop, an earthen type backstop. Um, some people will shoot and they go, well, see all those trees down there? That'll stop my round. Don't do that. What's in those trees? What's on the other side of those trees? What if something were to zip through there? What if there's an animal in there? What if there's a person in there? What if someone comes zipping out of there on some trail that you didn't see on a four-wheeler or a motorbike or something, okay? Make sure you have a good backstop and don't leave your garbage. If you haul it in and you shoot at it, take it back out with you. I've never seen uh, I've never understood why people haul TVs and refrigerators and car hoods out there to shoot at, and then they just leave everything behind. And pick up your brass too. And if you don't want to root around in the dirt for some brass, take a small tarp out there, something, a sheet. You lay it on the ground, on this, next to you. You stand on it or lay it next to you on the ground. Your brass lands on it, and then you just bundle up the sheet, throw it in your truck or your car or whatever it is, and take it out, take it with you, and make sure you go and take your targets with you. Now, don't go out and nail or staple targets to a live tree, okay? That hurts the tree. You can buy cheap target holders. You can take a box. Take a box out there. You can tape a target to the box, And then when you're all done, all you have to do is go over and pick up the box and take it with you. Don't leave your garbage. Now, as far as I know, there's no restrictions. Just be safe, pack it in, pack it out. And if the people go out and they don't pick up their garbage and they're unsafe, then there is going to be a problem, and you're going to get places like that shut down.
And that's the thing is that keeping it clean. And the other part is that brass, if you save it, somebody out there will want it.
Oh yeah, I mean you can sell it to someone. Someone will reload it. You can sell it to someone. You can give it to someone. Make some friends. You can trade it. I've traded brass to people before. I got buckets of brass at my house. I'll take whatever you don't want. You give to me, and if I don't reload for it, I'll find someone that does.
And now you also save the lead, right?
Yeah. Now, if you're out shooting, in the desert, you obviously don't need to go and get your lead out of the ground. I do save some of the lead. I will kind of mine some of the lead a little bit. I'm into actually. I'll melt it down and cast my own bullets. That's another part of reloading that some people aren't into. I am. It's been a little while since I've done it, but I've got a whole pile of lead. But I enjoy doing that.
Yeah,
Yes.
my neighbor in his basement had a huge operation where he would he'd melt down the lead and keep the casings and everything else he could gather. He always had the extra brass.
Right.
And actually sometimes, and I think I may still be in a box somewhere at home. When I was a little boy, he actually, without loading it with gunpowder, he actually made one for me and gave it to me as a souvenir.
Yeah.
And
They're pretty neat. I have got some dummy rounds that I made up, and then I spray painted them bright orange, so I
it's
knew they were
an
dummy rounds.
it's an enormous round. It was from his Magnum.
Nice.
Yeah, we've got to take a short break. 9:30. Todd Eccles from Patriot Defense is in studio with us. We're at 55. One more half hour is still ahead. And if you've got a comment or question, keep in mind you can give us a call on the other side of the break at 736-0300. That's 736-0300 on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. Joining us in the studio, Todd Eccles from Patriot Defense. We're talking firearms this hour, and you can reach the program by giving us a call at 736-0300. That's 736-0300. Bill Colley with you as well on Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. And we're at 54. Not going to be terribly warm today compared to the last couple of days. Still not bad, though. And caller, you're up next. You're on the air on KLIX. Go ahead.
Yeah, I had a question. If I'm going out target practicing and I take 4 or 5 guns with me, is there a legal way or right way or wrong way to transport them?
You're fine right now. Obviously, unless it's your concealed carry permit, the safe way is to obviously not travel with those guns loaded in your vehicle. If it's your concealed carry weapon and it's in a holster and it's on your waist, that would be perfectly fine. That would be perfectly safe. But just make sure they're unloaded. As far as legal, you go ahead.
Whatnot, but I was wondering if you get stopped for speeding or something, what should you do then?
Right now, because the state of Idaho is a constitutional carry, it doesn't matter. You're good to go. They can be in cases. They can be next to you. They can be in your vehicle. No problems whatsoever. If you get pulled over by law enforcement, they're already probably going to assume that you have firearms in the car just because we are a constitutional carry state now. Obviously, you don't want to yell out the window, "I have a gun! I have a gun!" That's gonna elicit the wrong response.
See,
from
take a look at it.
from the law enforcement officer. If you don't have your concealed carry permit, which you do not need, if they stop you and you hand them your driver's license, say, "Hey, I just thought I'd let you know I'm going out target shooting. There is some firearms in the car." If your license, let's say, is over by the firearm, you might say, "Hey, look, I'd give you my driver's license or my insurance, but they're over here. There is a firearm over here," and then let the law enforcement tell you how he wants to proceed from there, and kind of just let him control the stop. He's probably not going to get upset with you. He's going to be more thankful that you notified him of that. Now, if your license is over on the seat under these guns and you're rooting around, maybe it's in your range bag and you're rooting around and he sees a bunch of guns in there and you're reaching in there for your driver's license and you haven't told him that, he's probably going to get a little bit excited at that point. So you don't have to tell him, but if you're just upfront with him, it's going to save you a headache and your stop's just going to go much smoother.
All righty, thank you.
Thank you.
We see these stories every once in a while where, in television news and newspapers jump all over it. It's like, well, police enter a home of so-and-so and find a cache of weapons, and never specified whether the guy's a collector. If a collector would have all sorts of things. And and it gives you the impression that, gee, if you own a lot of firearms, you must be breaking the law. But I don't know that there's any legal limit to what you can own. There's certain firearms you can't have unless you get a
Right.
clear,
Class 3.
right. If you want a Thompson submachine gun, as a collector, you have to go through some hoops to do that. But I don't think that whether if you own the things that you own 100 pistols, you're not breaking any laws.
Right. Yeah, you can own what you want, especially here in Idaho. Now, you mentioned the media and stuff, and every now and then you'll see an article come out of like Chicago or New York or something, and they'll be like, "Man, we went over to this guy's house, and man, they had a stash of weapons, the weaponry in this house," and then they will show a picture of it, and it's some broken revolver. It's a 22, semi-automatic pistol with no magazine, and it had ammo stacked to the ceiling, and it's like 3 boxes of ammunition, or even 500 rounds of ammo, or 400 rounds of ammo. Man, if you think that's a weapon stash, don't come to my house. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But no, you can own as many as you want. In Idaho, especially, there's no limitation. Now, I don't think you can go out. I don't know. It just depends on where you live, but I don't know of any limitations off the top of my head of how many you can or can't own.
Well, it gets back. Well, we'll take a call. I've got a short story on that. We can maybe bring it up a little later in the program, but we'll get to our caller first. Caller, you're up next. You're on the air on Top Story. Go ahead.
Yes, I would like to make a comment about shooting out in the desert, BLM territory. I have a friend in Carson City, Reno area, that works the BLM. But anyway, they've had quite a few fire starts from shooting. But you have to be careful when you go out. If it's hot, dry, and windy, stay home until it's cool. And if you do get a fire start, you can quickly put it out. But if you get one going and it's off to the races, it's going to cost you a lot of money.
No, you're correct, and I probably should have touched on that a little more. That's one of the reasons why I said though, no, on those type of lands, no tannerite. Tannerite is that substance you mix together. You can shoot it with a rifle, and it goes boom, makes a big explosion, but it can also start fires. And it can be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. But anytime you go out, I don't care if you're just out, if you're out camping. I don't care if you're out off roading. Even shooting, you should have water with you. You should have a fire extinguisher. Just be aware of what's going on. Be aware of the time of year it is, how dry it is, and just be ultra aware of your surroundings and be prepared for anything. And just be sensitive to the fact that you don't need to be burning down a couple thousand acres either.
I brought up that whole issue because driving from Bruno Canyon back to a Balanced Rock one day coming through the desert, I was thinking, my gosh, I could be out here. I wouldn't bother anybody. I think I saw 3 other vehicles.
Right.
One was actually a BLM truck guy doing paperwork in the truck that I passed. He kind of just nodded and waved, and I went by and went through the intersection, calling it an intersection. It's a crossroad,
Right.
dirt crossroad. But driving back, you get the impression it's like, wow, there's nobody out here. This would be a safe place to do this.
It's a lonely, lonely area out there.
It certainly is. We've got more coming up with Todd Eccles from Patriot Defense on Top Story with Bill Colley this morning. It's 9:40. We're at 52 on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. I guess that music's appropriate.
There you go.
Todd Eccles from Patriot Defense in studio with us this morning. We're at 9:41. Bill Colley with you as well on Top Story on News Radio 1310 KLIX and newsradio1310.com. And 52 right now. Telephone number for reaching the show, 736-0300, 736-0300. Caller, thank you for your patience. You're up next. Go ahead. Hello, caller. You're on the air.
Yes. Hey, I've got a question for Todd.
Sure.
We've got a police scanner, and quite often we hear where a vehicle will be pulled over, and they'll run the guns. And I'm just wondering, is there anything could you reject that? Just say no. I'd prefer not to have my guns run, or do we have any rights that way?
That's a good question. It depends on why they're running the guns. Now, I mean, I don't know the nature of the stop. Typically, if they're
We're
going
talking, what, a serial number?
yeah, typically what's going to happen is well, okay, the law enforcement guy that teaches my class, this is what he told me. If he comes up on an accident or something like that, or he's at an accident and someone says, "Hey, I just thought I'd let you know that I do have a firearm with me. Here's my concealed carry permit. It's in my car." Typically, what he will do, if it's an accident and there's a lot of people, maybe there's a little tempers flaring, on both sides, he will say, "Well, I want to see your firearm. I'm going to take your firearm back to my car, and I'll keep it there till we get this all sorted out, and then I'll give you your firearm back." And he has stated that if they take a firearm from you, they will typically run it. They will unload it, obviously, and they will run it, and just to double check. Now, if you're getting pulled over while you're speeding, or you just have a minor traffic violation or whatever, they can take your firearm from you and hold it for safekeeping. I've never had that happen, and I've gotten pulled over quite a bit, unfortunately. My wife doesn't like that, but I have gotten pulled over. Typically, they'll say, "Well, where is it?" And they'll say, "Okay, well, keep your hands on the wheel where I can see him, and just don't reach for it, and everything will be good." Sometimes they'll just talk to you. "Well, what is it? What do you carry? What do you like shooting at?" And they'll just chat with you about it. No big deal. But if they do take it, that is their right. They can take it from you, if they want to, and they will give it back. But they will probably run it just to check. And it may just depend on the person, and it may depend on the situation, and what the hair on the back of their neck says. How they feel about you, that type of thing. But they can take it from you. As far as you saying no, you can't take it, I'm not sure exactly where your rights lie on that. I don't know that I would ever do that, because then all of a sudden I would feel like I'm acting guilty. I'm acting suspicious, and then they can do whatever they want after that. So just be real careful. If you don't got anything to hide, don't hide it. That's the way I feel about it.
We have another caller. Well, this caller, you're up next. You're on the air on KLIX.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you today?
Good.
Hey, just a suggestion on that. I do pack a minimum of 4 guns every day in my work pickup. They're all loaded due to my nature of my work, everything else. And the times that I have been pulled over, had interaction with law enforcement, I put both hands out the window on the door and make them aware of what I do have in the vehicle and that they are all loaded.
And that, you know what, that you don't, in Idaho, you do not have to do that. You're not required to do that. But
Exactly.
I am under the same the same thinking as you. Typically, what I do is and when I'm in my vehicle, I make sure, obviously, my wallet is somewhere where I can get to it, that's not right next to my firearm, and I'll have my wallet out, and I'll put my wallet kind of up on my steering wheel, so if they walk up, they kind of see that I'm getting in my wallet. And I will
hmm
pull out my driver's license and my concealed carry permit, and I will hand it to them at the same time. I won't say a word. And they'll look at the driver's license, they'll look at the concealed carry permit typically, and they'll say, "Okay, thanks for letting me know. Where's it at?" And I'll say, "It's on the seat. It's in the glove compartment. It's right here on my hip." And they'll say, "Fantastic. Just put your hands on the wheel. I don't need anything else. I'll just run you off your driver's license." Then they are good to go. They just
They're
want
very,
they just want
very good to go.
yeah, they just want you to respect them too. They just want to go home safe. And if you're easy going with them, they're going to be easy going and respectful of you. It's when because they're going to find out as soon as they go back and they run your tags, your plates. They will find out. They will know that they know it's attached. They know that you have a firearm. And if you come up, they come up, say, "Do you have a firearm in the vehicle?" "Well, yeah, I do." "Well, where is it?" "I'm not telling you." Then there's going to be big problems, and they're going to say, "Well, if you want to stop to go that way, get out of the car, put your hands on the hood." I mean, they have every right to do that. So I honestly, just like you, I think letting them know ahead of time, and however you want to do that, I think is the way to do it. Just don't yell out the window, "I have a gun."
Well, thank you, gentlemen. Great program.
Thanks.
Want to thank him for the call, 946. Bill Colley with you too as well. Todd Eccles answering your phone calls this morning at 736-0300 from Patriot Defense on News Radio 1310 KLIX at newsradio1310.com, and we're at 56. For people, again, who'd like to take one of the courses, how do they get in touch?
Yeah, you can call me. You can text me. Area code 620-794-6223. You can find me on Facebook under Patriot Defense. Once again, you call or text area code 620-794-6223. That seems to be the easiest way, people, the best way to get a hold of me. I do respond. I have 2 phones in front of me here, so I've always got something on me that I can check my text messages and stuff with. I also want to say that, I do encourage training. Get your concealed carry permit, and I do encourage continued training. Even if it's just shooting at the range, or going and taking a class somewhere. Now, there's more than just me. I'm not the only person in the Magic Valley that offers classes and different handgun 101 type classes even.
Yours
And
is the best, though.
yeah, I like to think it is. But get some training, even if it's not for me. I just would encourage you, though, if you're going to go train with someone, know their background, know uh, know that take a look at him and say, hey, this guy's been doing this for a month. This guy's been doing this for 2 months, or is this guy been doing this for 4 years? I've been doing this for 4 years. That doesn't seem like a long time to a lot of people, but I hold anywhere typically 2 classes a month, and every class I have anywhere from 10 to 20. I've had up to 25 people a class. That's a lot of people in 4 years. I know what I'm doing. I'm not intimidating in class. I'm very approachable. I'll work with anyone. I try to make everyone feel at ease. I mean, Bill, you were there. You could probably vouch for me. I'm sure
Hmm.
there's some listeners that have taken my class that could call and vouch for me as well. I will work with you. I mean, if you don't want to go somewhere where they shout at you like you're a drill sergeant, or they teach you, they're treating you like you're part of the police academy, just sign up for my class. I'm very approachable. I'm easygoing. I'll do whatever it takes. I've been known to stay after class with someone who is having a hard time or scared of their firearm, telling them, go take lunch, come back when everyone's done shooting, and I will take the extra time. I'll stay 2, 3, 4 extra hours if I have to make you feel comfortable. I will work with you. So that's what you're going to get when you sign up for a Patriot Defense class. You just need to keep that in mind. And I just, like I said, I encourage training of all kinds.
948. We have another caller with us. Caller, you're up next. You're on the air on KLIX. Go ahead.
Good morning.
Morning.
The other day on the radio was concerning the BLM and the shooting regulations. Of course, like you said, the exploding targets are illegal,
Right.
and they also said steel cord bullets, which I can understand.
Right. And so that I missed that on the radio. But yeah, if they say no steel cord bullets, no steel cord bullets, no exploding targets. This is their regulations, and they may or may not check you. I don't know, but if you're going to go out and you want to keep those lands open to be able to go and shoot on and to do stuff like this, obey their rules, obey the safety rules, pick up after yourself. Don't pack in, pack out more than it's a Boy Scout model. Pack out more than you've packed in. Okay, if there's a couple
Right.
extra pop cans there, take them with you. But we need to obey their rules, or we're gonna lose what makes Idaho great.
Well, that's true, but the only point I was trying to make was the steel cord bullets, because that made perfect sense to me, but you don't often hear them talking about it. Thank you. I appreciate your show.
Okay, thank you.
Talking about target practicing out in the desert. We do live relatively close to two other state lines, and if you have that enhanced carry permit, you can carry. Could you go? Are you going to get any hassle if you go target practicing in Nevada or Utah in the desert?
I wouldn't think so. I mean, those are all, depending on where you're at, it's all going to be BLM land. Obviously, you want to make sure you're not on any parks or anything like that, because then they might have their own set of rules. But you can always check with the Attorney General's office. You can call the BLM down there and find out what the regulations are. I wouldn't think that you'd have any problems. I mean, typically these BLM lands you can go out and you can hunt on, so why couldn't you go and shoot on them as well?
You were also talking earlier about training people to draw. It's easy enough to train people to shoot. Say, all right, look, here's how you look down the sights
Hmm.
and do all of that. But when it comes to drawing, it's it's a little more complex.
It is.
Especially if you ever are going to be in a situation where you might need to, you've got to basically be able to do it smoothly and quickly. Would it be wise to get a blue gun or something along those lines and just work on that at home?
If a blue gun makes you feel better, yeah, you can get a blue gun. A lot of people will just make sure their firearm is unloaded. You can unload it, take the mag out, clear the chamber, make sure it's cleared. And if you're going to practice this in your house, which you can do, a lot of people go to their garage. Make sure, depending on where you live, make sure you're obviously you're pointing that gun in a safe direction. You still don't want to wave your hand in front of it. Make sure it's unloaded. Make sure there's no ammo even in the same room as you. You don't want to aim it at a door. Maybe your wife will walk through that door. But yeah, you can still do that at home. Blue guns are great, but a lot of people will just make their guns. They'll just clear their guns and do it that way.
But you could turn on MSDNC and just sort of use that as your draw and pretend that's your target.
Sure. I mean, if that's a safe direction for you, yeah, that's no problem. I
You
mean,
can always buy a new TV.
you can always buy a new TV, but it's there was a video. I'm going to post it on my Facebook if I haven't already posted it, of a instructor. He got into, well, I don't know. They pulled his instructor creds. He's from back east. Supposedly he's coming up with a new fighting system, and anyhow he posted a video of him doing this at an indoor range, really nice indoor range, and he shot the ceiling. And And when he went to draw his firearm, it got tangled up in his shirt. And this guy's been known for doing some unsafe practices anyway. They show some videos of him in a class where he's actually aiming the firearm at his students. But anyhow, if you want to hear more about that, I'll post it all on Facebook, and you can actually, I talk about it on my podcast. You can actually check out my podcast. The Patriot Defense Podcast is on iTunes, and I should get this podcast posted up this afternoon, and I will put it on my Facebook page. But just be careful. Know that the draw stroke is important. You need to know how to do it. You need to know how to do it from concealment, which means you need to know how to clear your cover garment. Get it out of the way. You do not want that tangled up with your firearm when you draw your firearm or when you reholster your firearm. That's when bad things happen. So
We have a caller with us. Caller, you're up next at 9:53. Go ahead.
I just have a quick question. I was wondering if I live in the Mini-Caja area, and I was wondering if there have been any large-scale gun thefts in this area. I had heard that there were.
I don't know if there has been or not. I haven't seen anything that jumped right out to me, and it may be something that is happening. But maybe they're kind of keeping it quiet for right now. Have you heard anything, Bill?
No, but I will say this: when a burglar, is looking for things, their valuables include firearms. So
Oh yeah.
the idea is to lock them up.
Well, lock them up, and I encourage everyone, to copy down the serial numbers on your firearms. Write them down. Keep them down on a piece of paper in your safe. Make a couple copies. Keep another one at your friend's house, your relative's house, something of the serial number and what the firearm is. So if something does happen and something does get stolen from you, you can take it down to the law enforcement and say, this is what it was. Here's the serial number. So they can keep track of it. So if something pops up in some case or they find something at a pawn shop or something like that, they will know the serial numbers will match and they'll know who it belongs to. So if you don't do that, you have no record of saying that's your firearm.
Want to thank the caller for chiming in today. And next caller joins us. You're up on KLIX. Go ahead.
Good morning, fellas. Yeah, if you're going to be out on BLM grounds, always check and double check the laws in the area. I've come across some of these desert hunts, which, according to Fish and Game, it's okay to use four-wheeler or whatnot to go hunting, which, of course, out in the desert, you almost need a horse or a four-wheeler if you're going to have any chance of finding animals. But according to BLM, these grounds, a lot of them are restricted to four-wheelers. So always be wary of your situation. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
You do.
Want to thank him. We're talking about keeping track of your serial numbers. The other thing to do is even with a safe, make sure you check it every now and then, because if you're not using a lot of the things you've got in the safe, you probably figure they're locked up, they're okay. But go back and check in on your safe every now and then. Make sure everything is accounted for.
Oh yeah. That doesn't hurt at all. I mean, I have kids at my house, and one of them knows the combination just because they keep their shotguns and stuff in there that they use for shooting, and they know not to get them without letting me know. But I trust my kids. But you gotta check on it every now and then. And who's to say someone couldn't get in your house, open your safe somehow, get out what they want, and shut the door and spin that lock again? I mean, it happens. So yeah, and it's another good thing. Just check on your firearms too. Make sure they're not building moisture in there. Check the condition of them. Clean them every now and then. Put a dehumidifier in there, even just to check on things. But yeah, it doesn't hurt.
I was watching one of Hickok's videos not long ago, and if you're going to go out in the desert, though, too, the other thing I would do is maybe take a folding table, so you can set some things there. Maybe even a bottle of water because it's going to be hot and dry. But just to put down your ammunition and some other things on the table. But when you're done, you put everything away. You fold the table up too as well. Put it in the truck, and off you go.
Yeah, just go out there prepared. Everything you need: water, table, maybe a fire extinguisher. I mean, your targets, everything, and just pack it in and you pack everything out when you leave, and just be careful, be respectful of the land and the laws. Know that if you want to go over there and shoot, just like this gentleman said about the four wheelers, that you can't just go blazing off through the sagebrush. That it needs to be the proper. I don't even know the regulations exactly, but it needs to be the proper size trail for your four wheeler to be on or your truck to be on. You don't want to just start blazing your own trails out through the brush. That's going to get stuff like that closed down for us and restricted.
I was listening, in fact, the other day to. We're running a lot of those public service announcements about how fires can start in some strange ways
that time of year.
And one of the, in fact, Governor Otter's now on one of the public service announcements. But the fact of the matter is, as you said, a fire extinguisher. If that fire is still small, extinguisher knocks it out. But on a windy day, You got to be quick and you got to be alert, and you may have to have some practice with using that too. I mean, it's how do you use it? Know how to use it. Read the directions when you buy it.
Well, yeah, know how to use it. Make sure it's up to date. Just because you buy one doesn't mean it's going to be good next year.
Oh, we had one sat in the boat for years when I was a kid, and nobody ever used it. And 10 years pass. Will it work? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Another thing too is when you're out there driving, even if you're on a legal road that you can drive on, even if it's a two-track, you can drive your vehicle or your four-wheeler on there. Understand that just having that dry grass, if there's tall, dry grass, can if it gets against your exhaust, it can burst into flames. You can ignite it. You can just pull off the main gravel road just to park off the road, just on
Mhm.
the side, and you can start a fire that way. So you just got to respect the land, respect what makes Idaho great, and just keep it there for everyone to go out and hunt on, to four-wheel on, to shoot on, whatever.
We wanted to point out very quickly too. I think it's beginning next week or the week after. We're going to be joined again by the prodigal gun dealer from Washington Street Pawn, Forrest
Forrest.
Anderson. Yeah.
Forrest will be back. It'll be good. It'll be fun.
Looking forward to that. In the meantime, I want to thank Todd Eccles from Patriot Defense. And coming up on 10 o'clock news from Fox, followed by Rush Limbaugh's program. That's on the way. And Bill Colley saying, God willing, if the creek don't rise, they'll allow me to come back and do this all over again from 8 until 10 o'clock on Monday morning.